Hi YouTubers and wet shavers everywhere, it's Mark with yourslef.com. I'm back with another Monday morning mailbag. Get yourself a cup of coffee, kick back, relax, let's talk a little wet shaving and a few other things. What do you got this morning? Hang on. Oh yeah, that's a good cup of coffee. Again, terrific coffee. 8 o'clock coffee is what I got this morning. A favorite of a viewer and cartoonist Gary Brookins, quickly becoming a favorite of mine. And I'm sure many viewers out there love this coffee. Yeah, really terrific, flavorful coffee. This is original ground and sweet, fruity, and well balanced. Very true. I like it a lot. And a viewer some time ago suggested that perhaps I use a glass coffee mug so everyone could see the richness and boldness of the coffee in there. So that's kind of giving you an idea of what it looks like. But boy, that's a good cup of coffee this morning. Yeah, I hope to use this in the future Monday morning mailbag so you can see the the richness and the overall color of the coffee and that sort of thing. Kind of give you an idea of how weak or strong it is. Alrighty. Now, before I begin, I want to ask you a question. I happen to be wrapping up my deadline of cartoon features that I send out to weekly newspapers. And I have a feature called I Knew That, which is an easy trivia kind of game comic panel. And in a recent I Knew That, I talked about the game hide and seek. And it reminded me of when I was a kid, when we played hide and seek. The game was played where someone was the seeker, and then you would hide. And if they found you, the idea was to run back to home base where you could be safe before you got tagged. If you got tagged, then you were obviously. And home base for us was called Ghoul. And if we made it back to home base where we were safe, we would yell out, "Safe on Ghoul! Safe on Ghoul!" And I just happened to recall that as I was creating this particular comic panel for that feature. And I was just wondering if you, when you played it when you were a kid, if home base was called Ghoul, so you were safe on Ghoul. I was just curious about that. Just happened to come back at it. And do kids still play that? I mean, you know, if you look around the neighborhood, are kids still playing hide and seek like that? I'm just curious about that. So I thought I'd throw that out there. Okay, so let's get to some of these morning questions now. I'm going to revisit an older question that was put out there by Glenn Sherman. So I'm calling this the Ancient Vault of Archived Questions. So let's open up that vault right now. Oh, and that was neat, huh? Yeah, I enjoyed that. That's great. Okay, so here it is on my official archived paper right here. And of course, the archive question came from Glenn Sherman, who wrote, "Hi Mark, I would really love your opinion on this. I always do a face lather and load my brush directly from the puck. I have been hearing some people say that it is not good for the longevity of the soap to do this. They say that the water gets under the puck and can cause mold. They also say that leaving the soap open to dry can introduce bacteria to the soap. What do you think about this?" And the reason why I'm revisiting this question, because there was some really nice discussion in that thread on that video, the previous Monday morning mailbag, and I wanted to pass those comments on to you because they were very insightful from a couple of viewers. Just Uncle L wrote, "Great Monday morning mailbag once again." Thank you very much. "If you cycle through a large number of soaps, it is possible to get mold. So after seeing a few videos about protecting the soaps from water and or mold damage, I changed to mostly bowl lathering my soft soaps. If I do load straight from the tub, I now use a dry brush loading technique, no tub blooming, which leaves minimal water in the tub. I've never had any issue with getting good lather from Mitchell's Wool Fat soap." Now that's something else I'll mention here because that was also part of the last Monday morning mailbag was Mitchell's Wool Fat. I also use a boar brush when lathering up hard soaps. Great Artisan soap suggestions. Yeah, thank you very much. Now, yeah, that is something that a lot of wet shavers will do. They'll get a nice shaving bowl like this, and they'll get a softer soap like Parasso. They'll get some sort of appliance and just scrape out a little bit, and then place it in their lathering bowl, and then build a lather right from there like that, which leaves the soap dry and unaffected from the water. Also gives me a chance once again to thank J. Michael Hines for Omega soap. This is another soft soap I wanted to show you also. It's very, very soft, same kind of consistency as Parasso. But again, this is another kind of soft soap that you can scrape out, place it in a shaving bowl, and then build a lather from there. Hard soaps, a little different. Hard soaps like What the Puck, this is like a triple milled soap, and you can see that it's dried out, and I don't detect any mold or anything like that. Still same great scent. And again, wet the brush and then a little bit, and then just do a dry load as he suggests. I'm assuming it's not totally dry. There is a little bit of moisture in the brush, but again, you can do the same thing: is wet the brush, load it a little bit, and then build a lather in a lathering bowl. With hard soaps, I tend to just go ahead and put the water on there, bloom it, and let it dry out. I've never had any problem with it so far. Knock wood, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Another hard soap example is Queda Vivants. This is really great. This is another triple milled hard soap, so you're not going to be able to scrape it out with an appliance as easily as you can a softer soap. But again, I tend to throw some water on there, hot water, let it bloom a little bit, dump it off, use that bloom water, and then go ahead and build a lather from loading the brush. That's the way I do it. I've never done a dry brush load. I should probably try that. And again, I'm thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, just Uncle L, when you say dry brush, you're talking about a brush that has a little bit of dampness on it. You're soaking the brush, you're pulling it out, and you're wringing it a little bit, and you're introducing a little bit of water to it, then loading it up, then doing a face lather, I would assume, and then adding additional water to the brush tips, and then building a lather from there. That's what I'm thinking. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's just another method of doing it. Now, the Mitchell's wool fat, this is the interesting thing, because Mantic 59 had those great tips regarding making a lather with Mitchell's wool fat. And one of the tips was to take the entire bowl with the puck in it and submerge it in water. Take a hot shower, come back, pull it out, dump out that excess water, and then get your brush and load it that way. So you've got the entire dish and the puck in the bottom of your sink covered with water. And that kind of goes to the opposite side of, well, if you're soaking your puck, you get mold underneath, that sort of thing. You get the whole dish and puck submerged in water. So I've done it that way as well. And again, knock wood, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I haven't gotten any mold on the Mitchell's wool fat. But you know what? I'm going to keep a close look on it as well to see what happens. But I wanted to pass that along because I have seen a lot of wet shavers take a soft soap, and they will then just scrape some out, put it in a shaving bowl, and then build a lather from there. And it's not a bad way of building a lather. I prefer just to put the water in there, whether it's a soft soap or a hard soap, and then dump that bloom water off in the sink, use that as kind of a pre-shave, and then load my brush from there. I love that process, but you know what? Your mileage may vary, and you could try it both ways and see which way works best for you. Also, along this thread, Charlie Weiss wrote, "Hi Mark, another great YouTube presentation." Thank you very much, Charlie. I appreciate it. "You seem to have a ton of shaving soaps. How do you keep them straight and know which one to use? All the best and stay healthy." Thanks very much, Charlie. I appreciate that. Well, the first thing is that if I have a soap, whether it's an Artisan soap like Sterling or something from Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements, as I just mentioned, I just keep the soap in this container. I'll open it up and put a little bit of hot water on there, take my hot shower, dump the water off, load my brush, let it dry. That's a great scent. let it dry, and then recap it and store it after it's fully dry. So far, I haven't had much trouble with that process at all. I also have purchased some specific shaving bowls for specific shaving soaps. This is the Art of Shaving shaving bowl that they were selling in their store at one time, and they sell a puck that is shaped very much like the bowl, so you just drop it in. You can see I've got some in there that I've been using, but it fits in like that. And I just know it's Art of Shaving, and it's familiar to me. I know what it looks like, and after it's done drying out, I can just put that lid back on and set it on my counter, and I know it's the Art of Shaving bowl. So I try to remember it that way. Some shave soaps have a very, very distinct scent, and that's how I remember them. For instance, this is Olivina shave soap that I have in here. I did a video review of this, and I'd like to pull this out. I know it's a very, very distinct scent, and I know this is Olivina. I just know it. And this is the Shuna shaving bowl that I have here with a really nice lid. So once it dries out, as it is, I'm able to place the lid on there and set it aside. I also have wooden shaving bowls like this that I can put a different kind of puck in there. I usually use this for Colonel Conk shaving soaps, especially the lime. So if I see it's green in there, I know it's Colonel Conk, that sort of thing. I also have this shaving mug that I purchased off eBay. They don't offer this anymore, and a lot of viewers wanted to get one. It really is terrific. It was about $10, and it's good hard impact plastic, and it has kind of a vanilla bean look to it. That's the color scheme. Looks like vanilla bean ice cream to me. And again, I have some soap in here, and just a whiff tells me that this is Williams mug soap. I recall scraping this, chopping it up, and pressing it back into the mug so it would fit the mug nicely. With something like this, I can find, I've been able to find a coffee can lid of sorts that fits on there very, very nicely. So if I want to store it so dust doesn't get on it, that sort of thing. And sometimes I'll just take some of these used pucks, and after they get really, really small, I'll just put them in a plastic bag and set them aside. And I might rotate those over, as hand soap right by the sink. I mean, it's soap, so that I'll do that as they get smaller, and perhaps I want to get a fresh puck of something else. So that's kind of how I rotate things through. But for the most part, I leave the soap in the container, and I know what I'm using that way. I know Sterling Soap also makes some containers that you can label. You can buy their samples. You can place them in these stock containers, and they'll even provide you, I think, with a label that you can just stick on there and just label whatever you want to. That's another great way of going about it too. So that's just some ideas on how I do it. And yeah, it's not foolproof. It really isn't. There's sometimes when I look at a soap and I forget what it is. If it's in a different kind of bowl, I might put it in this Grand Chairman shaving bowl here. If you want a shaving bowl that will hold a puck of soap nicely, this one really does a nice job. Just drop the puck in there and you can kind of build your lather from it. And then, let it dry out, air dry it, set it aside, that sort of thing. But sometimes I'll look at it and go, well, what was that? So sometimes it does get away from me. But for the most part, I'm just using a lot of the soaps in their own containers. Just, I know what it is. I open it up, load it up, and then I'm good to go. So that's kind of the way I do it. So if I come up with a new method or a new procedure, I'll be sure to pass it on to you. But thanks for those questions. And again, just wanted to revisit that previous question because there's some really, really good, Just Uncle L had some really, really good information and some tips on how he does it. So I want to pass it on to you. Okay, so this next comment comes from viewer Damian Clark. Damian Clark and I have been exchanging emails. His first email to me had the subject heading, "You introduced me to wet shaving." I was very flattered by that. And he wrote, "Good morning, Mr. Zarady. My name is Damian Clark. and I've recently subscribed to your terrific YouTube channel and caught my first glimpse of the wealth of wet shaving information you provide. Well, thank you very much for that, but a lot of the information comes from viewers of this channel. I'm happy to host an electronic backyard fence, so to speak, where we can exchange all these ideas. But boy, I have some great viewers who offer some great tips and tricks about wet shaving. He goes on to talk about how he has embarked on his wet shaving adventure, but here is something of note. The Allen block is a marvel, and marvel is in capital letters. The Allen block is a marvel. After the initial stinging and zinging, as you say, it's a marathon, not a sprint, the soreness and irritation totally disappeared, and I have no rash nor redness whatsoever. That's great to hear. And I'm glad you made that comment, and I'm glad to share it with my viewers, because the Allen block is something that I use after every single shave. This is an Ozma Allen block. It is solid. It is made from a larger Allen block and cut down and machined to this size. So it's solid through and through. So it's not going to dissolve and crumble like some other Allen blocks that are made from compressed pellets or powder. This is absolutely solid. And I love using this after every single shave because it knocks down irritation. It acts as an astringent. It has antiseptic qualities. And it's something that I use after every single shave. Now, the reason why I mention it is because for me, the wet shave, when I first came back to it, was a process that my skin had to adapt to over a period of weeks, maybe even a month and a half. And I found that the more I did it, muscle memory would build up so that I was handling the razor correctly. I was using proper technique. My technique was getting better and better and better. The finesse of using that razor became better. And I feel that my skin, my opinion here, was drinking in those really needed nutrients and moisturizers that some really nice better made shaving soaps offered, as well as a lot of the moisturizing aftershave balms and splashes, and of course the Allen block. So I would say that if you are doing the wet shave, give the Allen block a try. There are two ways to use it. The way I use it is I wet my face with some cold water, I dry it off, then I wet this under some cold water and I rub it all over my face. I get some feedback, I see how much zinging or stinging I get, and lately it's been very little because, again, I feel my skin has adapted to the wet shave. It's become attuned to it, and this does a great job of knocking down that irritation that I think otherwise may develop. And then I just leave it on, and then I move on to my aftershave splash or my aftershave balm. The other method that you can use is, again, do your final cold water rinse, dry your face, run this under cold water, apply it, wait 30 seconds, and then rinse it off, dry your face again, and then move on to your aftershave splash. You know, it just depends. Now, again, your mileage may vary, but I think for the most part, for me, I really haven't gotten any undue irritation from this. It knocks down irritation. There might have been an occasion in the past where maybe my skin was drying just a little bit, but I think that was in the beginning, again, because my skin was becoming attuned to it. So just keep a check on the Allen block use. If your skin starts to dry, make sure you just put it on for 20 or 30 seconds and then rinse it off and see if that works for you. But yeah, this is something that I use after every single shave. I like the solid Allen blocks like Ozma and Shash, those kinds. I think Art of Shaving also makes a solid Allen block. I think anytime you see a solid Allen block, chances are it's coming from France. It's coming from the folks at Ozma. That's what my understanding is. So Allen block, that's a really good post-shave. It's a really great part of the post-shave routine. I like it, I use it, and you might want to give it a try as well. Okay, so this next comment came from a Facebook friend, and I believe he's also a viewer, Raul Alberto De La Rosa. And I had posted a shave of the day picture on Facebook where I used, again, the Omega Shave Soap, my Crusader adjustable razor, and some Shaver Boy razor blades. And he wrote, not that I need any other blade, I already have several to go to, but I hear good stuff about these, meaning the Shaver Boy, and he wanted to know about them. So I just wanted to mention that the Shaver Boy blade is not a bad blade at all. This is a stainless blade. I think the Shaver Boy blade, feels very much like the Shark stainless blade. I think the Shaver Boy is a little less expensive than the Shark, but they're both good blades, but they have that hard, somewhat aggressive stainless edge to them that makes them very sharp, very efficient. And I have found that when I put the Shaver Boy blade in my Crusader razor this morning, the smoothness of this razor really tamed this blade a little bit for me. So I got a really, really terrific morning shave. I mean, 2 hours later, I was still BBS. A wonderful 3-pass shave with this blade and this razor. So if you want to use the Shaver Boy blade, you might want to try it in a little milder razor to start with. I like them a lot. Now, how many shaves will you get out of this? Well, I tend to use a blade, 2 to 3 shaves, and then I toss it and I move on to another blade. That's the way I've always been. There are some exceptions to that rule. The Vikings blade, razor blades, are good for about 5 to 7 shaves, and I will certainly take those blades to those number of shaves. But with something like Shaver Boy, which is very affordable, 2 to 3 shaves, I toss it and I go on to a new blade. So I just wanted to pass that on to you, so that if you're looking for another blade, you want to try something that's a little more affordable, and will give you a little more efficiency in the shave, try Shaver Boy. These are pretty darn good. Okay, so this next question comes from viewer Blue Knight, and he wrote, I'm stuck on buying either a 1960 Fat Boy or a 1966 Slim. Thoughts? Yeah, I have some thoughts about that. I really do. I have both. I have the Gillette Slim, and I also have a Gillette Fat Boy. The Fat Boy came through the generosity of a viewer named Jim from Northfield, and I am forever grateful for this gift of this Fat Boy. I had thoughts of getting a Gillette Fat Boy sometime down the road, but I always put it off, and he sent me one. And I'm really, again, Jim from Northfield, thank you very much. This is an absolutely wonderful razor to use. The Slim also is very good. I've reviewed the Slim on my channel. You can see me use a J3. I have 2 Slims. This one is an H2. I also have a J3, which is the year that the movie Goldfinger came out. J3 meaning 1964, the third quarter. That was the year that Goldfinger came out in movie theaters, and James Bond uses a Gillette Slim in that movie as a prop of sort. He doesn't shave with it, but he does use, you do see him take apart a Gillette Slim with some kind of secret tracking device in it or something like that, as I recall. But anyhow, the Gillette Slim makes an appearance in the 1964 movie Goldfinger with Sean Connery as James Bond. Gillette Slim is a wonderful razor. The Fat Boy is an awesome razor. They shave in similar ways, but the reason why I recommend you get the Fat Boy is because they only made so many of them. They were made for about 3 years, and you know they're going to become really prized. And a lot of wet shavers, you really look for these razors because there's only a limited number that were made over 3 years. There really is a demand for them. Now the Slim, in comparison, was made for about 8 or 9 years, I think. So there are more of those out there in the vintage market, and the prices are going to be a little less expensive for the Slim. Now, if you have a chance between the two of them, and they're probably evenly, the conditions are even, and the price is probably, you know, not too different, I would say. Maybe the Fat Boy's a little more expensive. Get the Fat Boy. You can always get a Slim, but get the Fat Boy. I just absolutely love this razor. Between the two of these, I think the Fat Boy is probably, it just feels nicer in the hand because of the added weight. Not much weight, but the added weight of it, And just the nostalgic quality of it, and the fact that they only made so many of them over 3 years. That's really the endearing quality of it. The attraction is the fact that, you know, there's only a limited number of them. So definitely get a Fat Boy. I don't think you'll regret it at all. You can always go back and get a Slim, but you know what? Don't pass the opportunity up to get a Fat Boy. That's my feeling. Don't miss your chance to get a Fat Boy. You can always get a Slim because there are more of them out there in the market, but there's only so many Fat Boys. So if you got a chance between the two of them, go with the Fat Boy. That's my feeling on it. Well, that's it. Thanks very much for tuning in again. I really do appreciate it. Please share, please subscribe, please like. Hit that bell so to give you a yell the next time I upload a video. Comment below, let me know. Check out the Executive Shaving Company. Use the code MARK5. Check out my blog, georgetoon.com/blog for my comic strip George, other cartoons, other videos like this. I'm on Facebook. Check out my Facebook page for cartoons and other videos like this. Check out phoenixshaving.com or phoenixartisanaccoutrements.com. Both addresses get you to the same great online store where you can get some great shaving gear. Check out my Amazon product page at amazon.com/shop/Marks Radio, where you'll find all the products I review on this channel organized and categorized, so you can find everything in a snap. Very easy. I'll leave you with this. President Theodore Roosevelt once said, "Do what you can with what you have where you are." Thanks very much for tuning in again. I really do appreciate it. Make it a great week.